Welcome back. So in this section we will create a lambda function. So I am now in the lambda AWS lambda dashboard. So let's go ahead and create it. So create function. So we'll create it from a blueprint this time. So just click on the blueprint and here search for Alexa. So then you will get the Alexa skill kits. So select the fact skill, this one. Okay. And one more tip while it loads, so always make sure that you select the right region here. So you need to, in this case I have selected Tokyo, so only in 4 regions the Alexa development console is supported basically. So was going through that in Amazon. So these are the 4 areas like Asia Pacific, EU, Ireland, US East or US West. So just make sure you select one of these regions, because otherwise you will find some difficulties in selecting the ARN in your Alexa front end. Okay, so yeah. So then let's go ahead and create our function name. We'll name this function as $1 million quiz. Okay, next you need to create a role actually. So I will just create a new role from one or more templates. So just give a role name here. Lambda, just give it like lambda execution role. Okay. And then just go ahead and click on create function. Okay, so now the lambda function $1 million quiz has been successfully created. So now you can change the code and its configuration and then choose text to input the text event when you want to test your function. Okay, so far so good. So let's go down. So here is your code basically. So this is quite a cool editor here. So you can even press over here to get a full screen. So let's go to full screen. Just click here, get it full screen. So you can nicely edit your code. Okay, so this is not the code which we need. So we will completely delete this and write a fresh index.js over here. Okay. So let's do a short planning on what exactly we need to do here. So we'll add some comments. Like the first thing we need is a quiz directory, quiz dictionary. So define a quiz dictionary, then define the handlers. So we'll see what handlers are later. Then a function to ask questions, and then register the handlers. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, let's first add some import statements. So okay, so here we are importing the Alexa SDK so that we can utilize some of the functions out of it. So we added the import statement here basically. So it's actually var Alexa. So we are creating a Alexa variable and it requires this alexa.sdk. Okay. So then let's define our quiz dictionary. So in our case, quiz dictionary is actually just an array of questions and answers basically here. So we are adding the question like this here. So now in this version of our script, it's all hard coded, but in the future versions we will try to replace this with some dynamic way of loading this from a database or something. That we'll see later. Okay, so for now just define it as an array. Okay, so our dictionary is done now. So in the dictionary, if you see, there is two values, basically question and answer. So we added 3 questions. So you can add more questions if you want. And then let's define the handlers. Also let's define one variable to handle the length of the dictionary, basically. So it's a duck length. I defined it as the this dot length. That means it will be like 3. Okay, so then define the handler. So this is something which we need to look at in detail. So we are defining a handler basically here, and we are defining each of the handlers inside that. So the first one is the launch request handler. So this launch request handler is executed when the skill is launched. And then the second one is ask question intent. So we created an ask question intent in our front end. So this intent will handle that action basically. So here what it does is, so it says here is your first question, and then it asks the question. Okay, so we'll look at this in detail. So let's first complete the coding, and then we'll come back and I will explain you in detail what exactly all are these about. And then the answer intent. So the answer intent handler is basically to handle the case when the user answers, and it checks whether the answer is correct, and if it is correct, then it returns this answer, this voice, else it will return this voice. Okay, and then these are the standard stop and cancel intent. Okay, so now let's create a function to ask question. Okay, so this is basically a function which will just what it just does is that it just asks the questions, next questions basically. So it will just loop through our question dictionary, and it will ask the next question based on the current question index. Okay, and then register the handler. So let's add the code for that as well. Okay, so we added the code for registering the handlers as well. So what it does here is that it's just creating this function and utilizing this Alexa variable which we created in the start, and it's adding the handlers actually, and register handler of handlers. So handler is nothing but this variable which contains all the handlers. So it's basically registering all those handlers, and then it's executing it. Okay, so then let's go ahead and save it. Okay, so that's all for this section. So we will go deeper into this lambda function, and then we will go ahead and test it in the next section. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much.